In the eyes of the public, Audie Murphy, the legendary soldier of World War II, was always the embodiment of integrity and humility. He lived simply, spoke little, and almost never revealed resentment. Friends even joked that Murphy was the hero who knew nothing of hatred. But that shining image suddenly cracked. Richard Murphy, his nephew, recently revealed handwritten letters that had been hidden for decades. On those yellowed pages, Audie Murphy poured out his deepest frustrations. Someone had exploited his soldierly image to siphon money from charity funds. A star had brazenly betrayed him and cost him his fortune over a single role. And there was even a secret love affair with a male legend where affection was twisted into hatred. So who were the faces he named? And did they ever pay for their dark deeds? 1. John Wayne. Behind the Alamo and the betrayal that cost Murphy everything. Few people know it. The film, The Alamo, 1960, hailed as an American historical masterpiece, was one of the most bitter pains of Audie Murphy's life. In April 1959, everything seemed within his grasp. Variety's April 12th issue ran the headline, "Battlefield Hero Transforms," into cinematic hero ad agencies in Dallas tested posters with Murphy in historical costume. And NBC declared that this would be the turning point to launch Murphy into the ranks of A-list stars. But just weeks later, everything collapsed. At a tense meeting in the United Artists office in Los Angeles, John Wayne, who was both director and producer, suddenly cut Murphy out of the project. An article in the Los Angeles Times titled "Storm Behind the Alamo" revealed that Wayne bluntly said Murphy was too rough, too ordinary, not refined enough for an epic role. People recalled that Murphy clenched his fists until they turned white, then burst out angrily, "You don't need victory, John, you just need to steal it from men like me." But all other voices went silent as United Artists executives clearly sided with Wayne. Just 3 days later, the press announced that John Wayne would direct and star. Murphy's name vanished as if he had never been part of the plan. The consequences were immediate. Murphy lost $250,000 he had counted on to pay off gambling debts in Las Vegas. Several ad contracts withdrew, claiming his image no longer fit. The media delivered a final blow. The Hollywood Reporter wrote bluntly, "John Wayne is a national hero, while Murphy is only a shadow of a wartime past." Murphy's anger erupted. At small drinking gatherings in Dallas, he often called Wayne a war scavenger, a man who had never truly held a gun in battle, yet built his empire of fame on others' blood and sacrifice. Rumors spread that Murphy considered suing Wayne for breaking a secret agreement, but he gave up knowing Wayne's immense power in Hollywood would crush him. The whispers grew more poisonous. Journalists close to Murphy claimed that Wayne had once been accused of dodging military service during World War II, while Murphy risked his life on the battlefield. Wayne stayed in Hollywood filming westerns and slowly crafting a hero image. That contrast fueled Murphy's fury. To him, Wayne was the symbol of deceit, a man Hollywood sheltered until he became a false legend. One story claimed that at a Beverly Hills party, Wayne deliberately tried to pull Murphy into a wild group using stimulants. Murphy refused, but the tale was twisted into Murphy is a heavy addict. A few film contracts were delayed by that vile rumor. While Wayne continued to thrive in roles and admiration, to Murphy, Wayne not only stole opportunities, but also silently destroyed his reputation. From being praised as the true hero of World War II, Murphy was pushed to the margins of the very place that should have honored him. That wound never healed, but more bitterly after Wayne Murphy had to face a completely different rival, James Stewart. 2. James Stewart. When the image of the perfect hero turned Murphy into a shadow in June 1957, the Adolphus Hotel in Dallas glittered with lights at a fundraising gala for World War II veterans. That night, hundreds of veterans, businessmen, and reporters packed the hall. James Stewart appeared on stage in a sharp suit, not only a famous actor, but also a former B-24 pilot who had flown more than 20 missions. When Stewart suddenly announced he would donate his entire salary from the film Night Passage to veterans, the entire hall rose in thunderous applause. The Dallas Morning News the next day proudly headlined, "James Stewart, America's complete hero." In the audience sat Audie Murphy quietly in the guest seats. He had thought he would be honored, but instead he was cast aside. The Dallas Morning News article compared Murphy may be the bravest soldier, but Stewart is the truest embodiment of the American ideal. Those words cut deep. From then on, comparisons haunted him. At press conferences, reporters frequently asked, "What do you think of James Stewart being seen as the ideal hero?" Repeated again and again, that question became a wound that never closed. In 1958, Paramount was casting the military film Strategic Air Command. Murphy saw it as a golden chance to prove himself, but at the final round, he was suddenly rejected. A Variety editor revealed that Stewart secretly pressured producers, bluntly saying, "Audiences will only believe in one hero. 2 in the same film will cancel each other out." The result, Stewart landed the role, while Murphy was discarded. Tensions rose further on a smaller project in 1961, at Culver Studios. Murphy arrived nearly an hour late, making the crew wait in frustration. Stewart, known for his perfectionism, stood in the middle of the set and sneered, loud enough for all heroes on the battlefield, "Don't show up late, like this." The entire set fell silent. Murphy blushed, but couldn't respond. Rumors outside worsened things. A Los Angeles tabloid claimed Stewart had mocked Murphy as lacking acting depth at a Beverly Hills party. No one confirmed it, but the story spread fast. Some directors began to hesitate to choose between Murphy and Stewart branding. Murphy, difficult to work with. Even pay became a wound. Stewart often earned triple Murphy's fee, even for similar military projects. Once at a Paramount party, Murphy overheard that Stewart received $400,000 for The Spirit of St. Louis, while he himself was offered only $60,000 for a comparable role. The vast gap made him bitter. The media slightly poured oil on the fire by presenting Stewart and Murphy as lifelong rivals. One was hailed at the Oscars and Golden Globes. The other had only wartime medals, which Hollywood increasingly saw as outdated. For Murphy, Stewart was both a figure of respect for his real wartime contributions and a painful thorn that turned him into the loser of cinema. But the bitterness with Stewart was still not the end. Just a year later, Murphy endured an even harsher blow from Clark Gable, a star who not only stole a role, but also the woman Murphy loved, dragging his private life into scandal. 3. Clark Gable. Stealing roles and a lover turning Murphy into a lap. In the summer of 1958, MGM launched Run for Cover. It was expected to be a heavy war action film that could catapult its lead actor to stardom. Audie Murphy was sure the role was his. He had just come off a string of successful war films, and his real-life heroism made him a trustworthy face for audiences. But Clark Gable, already a legend since the 1930s, also wanted the role. In Hollywood, when two big names collided, only one survived. At first, studio talks favored Murphy, but in one closed-door meeting at MGM in July, everything changed. Gable walked in confident, smiling at every producer, then firmly declared, "This must be my role. No one but Gable can save this film." Insiders later said his long-standing ties with MGM's bosses were the true reason Murphy was cut. The news that Gable won the role was a slap in Murphy's face, but worse followed. He soon discovered that his girlfriend at the time, actress Linda Christian, was secretly involved with Gable. Murphy and Linda had dated for nearly 2 years, often appearing together in Beverly Hills as a glamorous couple. Yet, after Gable secured the role, Linda also fell into his arms. It wasn't a one-time fling, but a quiet affair stretching back before. Murphy found out when he saw Linda and Gable appear together at a Palm Springs party, their looks exposing all denial. He froze, then turned furious. To him, Gable not only stole his job, but also his most precious trust and love. In November 1958, at a crowded Los Angeles party, Murphy could no longer hold back. He walked straight up to Gable, his hands trembling, but his voice tight. "You're just an old fox living off the labor and love of others." The hall fell silent. Some tried to intervene, but Gable only smirked coldly, refusing to answer. That calmness only made Murphy boil more inside. From then on, Murphy and Gable's relationship was severed. The film industry whispered that Gable used his influence to block Murphy from later projects. Supporters distanced themselves, saying Murphy had grown bitter and hot. Linda, after months of scandal, also left him shattering his heart. From Run for Cover, Murphy realized Hollywood was not a place of fairness, but a battlefield where power and manipulation ruled. But if Gable robbed him of love and opportunity, James Cagney was even more ruthless, turning Murphy into a public laughingstock, planting humiliation he could never erase. Number 4. James Cagney, the insult at a Paramount party that became a lifelong grudge. Hollywood in the 1950s was a place where champagne glasses clinked, but behind laughter hid deadly stabs. For Audie Murphy, no one made him feel that sharper than James Cagney. It began at a lavish Paramount party in 1950 at the famous Ambassador Hotel in Los Angeles. Hundreds of stars, directors, and journalists crowded the glittering